Good morning, everyone. Just so you know, this Q&A session will be recorded today. I'm going to go ahead and kick things off. My name is Angela Austin, and we're here today to do an Ask Me Anything session, basically a Q&A forum for any interested companies who'd like to participate. And to start off, I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time. Hopefully this is going to shed some light on the topics of interest here and the technology that we aim to seek. To start with, this challenge is being put on by Defense Innovation Unit and iDEX. If you're not familiar, Defense Innovation Unit is part of the DoD, and they have a similar mission to iDEX in that they are searching and hoping to enable different innovations in industry to be brought into the defense ecosystem, into the DoD. And so we've partnered here to launch this challenge, and there will be several others. We also have another one going on at the same time. And again, this is in partnership with India, and so they have their own challenges on their side that they've launched as well. And for this particular topic, we're talking about the Maritime Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance Challenge. I'm going to see here. I'm just going to cover some basic details of the challenge and what the general expectations are in the timeline. And then I'm going to turn it over to the subject matter experts that we have here today so that they can share a little bit more information for you on some of the technologies, the requirements and specifications that they're looking for here. And then we'll open it up for Q&A following that. And again, in case you weren't here, first off, when I started, this is going to be recorded so that we can post this back onto the IDEA-Scale website for anybody who couldn't attend, and they're able to reach this information as well. So just some basic details that I want to cover. As you all have probably seen the timeline, we have the deadline as November 10th. That'll be at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. So you'll have until the end of the day that day to submit. As far as the presentations that we're asking for as part of the submission process, we're looking for just a general 16:9 ratio horizontal presentation, just a regular slide deck, up to 10 slides, and PDF files preferred. It can still be a slideshow, a PowerPoint, that's fine too. This gets submitted when you go into IDEA-Scale and go through the process of creating your proposal, or an IDEA-Scale is called an idea, and you'll be able to attach that there. Once we get into following this submission process and get into the pitch event that this leads to, there will be a very similar deliverable, but in this case, we're going to be asking for a 5-minute pitch recording. And so it's going to go off of that same slide deck, except we're going to ask you to have it all prepared and presented in video format for us, and then submit that to us. We will also have a pitch rehearsal. It's going to be December 10th, so mark your calendars. And then the pitch event is that same week. Actually, apologies, I have a typo here. So this is December 10th for the pitch rehearsal. That's incorrect. The pitch event will be that Thursday, December 7th. And let me just see here real quick. So the pitch rehearsal is the 5th. Apologies. As far and again, for the pitch event, in case you're not familiar with how we're going to go about it, it will be a 5-minute presentation that's pre-recorded that you're submitting to us, and that will be followed by 5 minutes of Q&A from our judging panel. And then we'll roll into the next presenter, and that's how the pitch event will go about. It will be virtual. As part of our award requirements, we'd like you to be registered in sam.gov. If you haven't yet registered, it's a fairly simple process. You'll just need to go in there and create your account, and as part of that, you'll get the unique entity ID assigned to you, and that is part of what we need in order to award following this event. So if you haven't already done so, please go into SAM.gov and begin that registration process. And if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me. I will get our email will be in the chat box. And let's see. So as far as the timeline, this is the same timeline we have posted on IDEA-Scale, so you can find it there as well. I'm just going to run through it quickly. So right now we're in the solicitation period where we're accepting proposals. And again, the platform we're using is IDEA-Scale. IDEA-Scale is going to be able to manage most of this challenge for us. And so if you haven't already gone onto that website, you'll need to create an account, which is a fairly simple process, but you'll need to register in IDEA-Scale prior in order to actually see the solicitation, and then of course before you would submit. So we do hope to have another Ask Me Anything session, possibly 2 more. We'll post those details in the IDEA-Scale page as well as update our other websites. We'll also send out emails to our distro list to notify others of that and share on social. The solicitation is going to close on November 10th, and then we'll go through a period of down select. We're just going to have a couple of weeks there where the judges are going to go through, review submissions, determine who they want to invite to the pitch event. And in that down select process, we hope to have 10 to 15 that are invited to the pitch event. So we'll send out notifications by November 22nd. And then the week of, well, December 4th will be our pitch rehearsal. December 7th will be our pitch event. And then the following week will be some time to get those final deliberations in for our judges and select our winners. And they'll be announced on December 12th. So I have here the whole problem statement. I'm sure a lot of you have already seen this, but at this time I'd like to turn it over to our subject matter experts. We have a couple on the line. I understand that some are dialed in, so I'd like to turn it over to Wade if you're prepared to start now. Let's see here. Wade, are you able to hear me? Okay, I think we're having some issues here with oh, or let's see, Brian, if you're with Wade, are you able to take over now, or do I need to unmute you? Okay, apologies. I just saw that we're having some issues with a microphone. So how about this? If they aren't able to speak right now, I think the best way to go forward is most of you have probably, just been sitting here looking through the problem statement as I've been waiting, but let me go over the criteria quickly, and then we'll get to some of the specifications and then open up for Q&A. So the criteria that your proposals will be graded against, and also your pitches will be graded against this. We have 5 different categories here. We have technical, which is going to be the technical soundness, technical merit, innovation of your proposed approach, feasibility. Then there's going to be consideration for your team, the qualifications of those that are submitting, whether or not your company has the scalability or ability to produce down the road if needed, where this information is coming from and who you're working with, commercialization is understanding whether or not this is going to be viable. It's something we want to be dual use, so something that's already out there in the commercial market and that will be viable as well in the Department of Defense. And then quality of pitch. In the proposal phase, this is being looked at from your slide deck alone, but of course, during the pitch event, this is more specific to how you're presenting it and things like that, and getting your point across. And then operational effectiveness. This is how your proposed solution is going to actually align with the features that we have listed out here. So we have a set of required features and then desired features. These are the basic technical specifications that they're asking for sure need to be there. And then here are the desired features that they hope to also have, not required obviously, for submission. And since I am not a subject matter expert, I apologize. I can't really go into much more detail than you're seeing here because I am not as familiar with all of these specifications, but I do want to open it up at this point for Q&A. So please, for all of you who are here joining, feel free to ask your questions here. Is there anyone who wants to start? You can also leave a question in the chat box if you're more comfortable. And again, if there are any questions that I'm obviously not prepared to answer in detail on the technical specifications, any questions that you put in the chat box or, voice here, we'll be able to get back with you and also post those answers online. So please feel free to ask any questions that you have about this at this point. Okay, we have a question here. Do we make any assumptions where these sensors are based on a drone, apps, satellite? So hopefully our SMEs can jump in there and provide an answer. Also, are there data sets for the competition? We are not providing additional data sets for this challenge, so what you see in idea scale and what I've covered here is the detailed information that we're providing. And if anyone else can think of any questions that they want to drop in the chat box, I'll make sure that all of those get answered and posted to the website. In case you haven't seen the chat box, Brian responded with all sensors to be considered. I know India was looking at their local sensors on the coast. They're sort of coastal recon and defense sensors, was my understanding. Bosco, does that answer your question? Let's see. Well, while I wait for some more questions to come in, I would like to see if we have anyone else here from our team. Let's see. Is Redwick still here? Joel, did you have anything that you wanted to add while we're here? Okay, we have a response from Brian that says, we're more geared towards satellites and some aircraft. Our experience was in the Gulf of Mexico, mostly with the Gulf Water Horizon incident. And when he said we here, he's talking about NAVO. That response came from. All right, is there anything else that I can answer for you all? How quick is the information needed? Is the focus on algorithms or also on latency near real time? Let's see if Brian's able to respond in that chat box to that one. Thank you, Vasco. So Joel Ferguson replied and says that the U.S. Coast Guard works with National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Admin to get satellite data as well. We have a response from Brian, near real time, so we can muster forces and move assets to contain and mitigate the environmental effects and or damage. Does that answer your question, Vasco? And anyone, please feel free to come off of mute and ask your questions too. You're more than welcome to. I know this isn't ideal since we're having some technical difficulties with microphones, but please feel free to take it off mute and ask your questions. Another question here from Vasco. So with near time, there may be an element of edge computing which influences the way algorithms are designed. Joel Ferguson came back with that satellite data is usually then confirmed with an overflight. Commander Ferguson, was there anything that you wanted to take this opportunity to elaborate on at all or speak on? Brian Black responded with, for Deepwater Horizon, we use satellite results to task aircraft and watercraft and work with NOAA. Thank you, Vasco. Well, I do apologize for the technical difficulties. I think I'll just do a last call for questions, and I'll definitely schedule another AMA session and ensure that we can have a little bit better communication. apologies for the difficulties here. But last call, if you have anything, please feel free to share your question with us now. Okay, I'm not seeing anything. All right, well, with that, I will also open a Q&A forum on IDEA-Scale. So when you go into the campaign and that first section there in the campaign, there will be a link to a Q&A forum, which will be very similar to the way that you submit proposals for this challenge. It will link you to a Q&A forum where, as far as the way they have it listed, you'll go and put your question as an idea. And then we'll have the subject matter experts and others monitoring that and getting responses in at least weekly. So that will be another avenue for you to ask your questions. But like I said, I'll get another one of these sessions scheduled and ensure that we have our communications ready to go. And hopefully, you know, if there's anything that you didn't get here, hopefully we can address that the next time. And before we close, one more thing, Brian put in the chat box that density and type of crude will matter with regard to response efforts. That is more an EPA and Coast Guard issue for the U.S. But with that, I just want to say thank you all for being here. I'm super excited about this challenge and the partnership with India, and I'm really excited to see what we're going to receive and the proposals that you're going to submit. We want to make ourselves available to answer your questions. Apologies again for the technical difficulties. In case you didn't see it, our challenges email is in the chat box. It's challenges@ensign.mil. So feel free to reach out to us there or on IDEA-Scale, and we'll ensure we get back to you with some answers and share that all on IDEA-Scale so that everyone else can see too. So please feel free to reach out. And again, thanks. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.